Welcome to Pub Battles. Today we're playing the Brandywine scenario. Howe and Cornwallis are coming on from the west, just as Washington expected. Now because they're doing this, we start the game on turn 1. So let's move it over here. Turn 1. Cornwallis is drawn first. Of course, they come on stretched out in column. First two blocks come out of column, and are right there. The second two blocks get this far, everyone else is waiting. Next, Knyphausen advances. Knyphausen opens the British attacks on Jones Ford. Holding the fords is critical, so Sullivan dispatches more men to Jones Ford. The battle at Jones Ford. The Hessians are driven back. Sterling's men are driven back. The battle ends with no one in control of the ford. It now depends on who has initiative and can get back to the ford and reinforce it. Turn 2. Cornwallis attacks across Chad's Ford. He positions some detachments to cover the flank. The rest of his forces are backed up along the road. Knyphausen is drawn next, and his troops secure the ford. He sends other troops up to capture Whiston's Ford. Sullivan is drawn next, and he reinforces the defenses at Chad's Ford. Washington fires across Britain's Ford, with no effect. He positions Maxwell's troops in the valley to the north. Greene's men fall back. Turn 2 sees combat at Chad's Ford. Desperate fighting, Greene's colonials take heavy losses. The British also are somewhat exhausted in their crossing, but they're still there. Turn 3. Greene is drawn. What kind of defense can he organize? He throws fresh troops into the fray, rallies those troops that fell back, and positions some detachments in front of Pyle's Ford. Wait, we forgot a combat from last turn. Turn 2 we have the Battle of Whiston's Ford. The colonials withdraw. Now I'm using the as yet experimental rule called one-hit wonder. That's what I call it. If you receive one hit in combat, you have a choice. You can either become spent, like you would ordinarily, the rules don't change, or, this is the new one, you can stay fresh, but you fall back 1/3. So you have a choice. At this point the colonials are going to fall back, they're not going to take heavy casualties holding that. If you receive 2 or more hits, play does nothing changes, but you have this one option if you receive 1 hit in combat. Knyphausen brings fresh troops forward and follows them up with his spent troops, crosses the bridge, and he pushes his way across the bridge. The rest of his command crosses also at Jones Ford. Cornwallis sends troops across Britain's Ford in the center. Reinforces his troops at Chad's Ford. Now his entire command is on the board and out of column. Washington is last. Maxwell sends the militia into the flank of the British assault, and his own men sweep around and attack the center assault from the flank. And he sends word to Pulaski, swing around by a northern route. The cavalry moves out. Start with the assault on Sullivan's troops in the north. The drive is repulsed. Here in the center. The flank attack by the militia proved to be too much, and Ferguson's exhausted troops driven back. Here in the center, Britain's Ford. The grape from Knox's artillery proves to be a heavy effect on the British troops attacking, but they're not ready to give up yet. Abercrombie's troops attack. The hated Knox's artillery is destroyed, and Abercrombie's light falls back. And here at Chad's Ford, in heavy fighting, very heavy fighting, desperate fighting, there are no formations left in any kind of condition at Chad's Ford. Who can reinforce that crossing next? So here we are, turn 4. The British have lost 4 blocks. The Colonials have lost 3 blocks. Both sides can lose 1 more block and they'll break. This is a close battle. The Brandywine flows red. Washington gets the first chit draw. He orders Maxwell's troops to attack the British across Jones Ford. The militia, having fared so well in this flank attack, eagerly follow their orders for another flank attack. Greene, with only a few hundred men left, he sends his bags back and away. The remnants of his forces, here shown by 3 detachments, are all that he has left to cover the fords. And with Sullivan's chit drawn, the Colonials are very fortunate to have gotten the first 3 draws. Knyphausen deploys bags. The Hessians fall back across the river. All his troops fall back. He does not want to lose another unit here. Cornwallis gets very aggressive. See detachments fighting. He orders his grenadiers and the Hessians across Chad's Ford. Brings up his artillery. We have 2 detachments fighting. The remnants of Greene's command at Pyle's Ford disperse the detachments that Cornwallis sent at them. The other detachments are overwhelmed and fall back. Turn 5, mid-afternoon. Sullivan deploys bags, brings his command to full strength. Knyphausen rallies his spent divisions. His artillery fires on the militia, sending them running off. The rest of his force crosses the ford and attacks Maxwell's light troops. Cornwallis fires across Britain's Ford, to no effect. Cornwallis sends troops across Chad's Ford to join up with troops crossing Britain's Ford, attempting to overwhelm the Colonials. The Colonial troops fall back. Pulaski's dragoons come around. Greene's attachments push aggressively across Chad's Ford. Turn 5, combat. Fleeing British troops fall back to the ford. Reserves move up. The Prussians, using the last of their strength, basically being wiped out, push Abercrombie's light troops back, and they run into Abercrombie's light troops and are eliminated. So in the same combat, in the same turn, the British Army has been pushed to breaking point, and the Colonial Army has been pushed to the breaking point. Last combat, these are just detachments. The British detachments are destroyed. So in technical terms, both sides have lost, so it's a draw, stalemate. But if you look at the battle, Sullivan's command is in good condition. They're fresh, they're ready to go. The rest of the British Army is broken in disorder. Although the battle is technically a stalemate, both armies broke at the same time, Howe failed in his attempt to break through with his army. They were stopped at the Brandywine, and Sullivan's command drove back Knyphausen's and is still in full strength. Good game!